Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The session will start shortly.
Yeah. Paul? No. Hi, everybody. The panel is about to start in a few minutes, so if you could all please take your seats, I'd really appreciate it. First, I want to thank you all for being here. I know the smell is a little weird. I'm not enjoying it, so I really appreciate you taking the time to come here and sit in this room and listen to this awesome discussion. I'm Allison Hansard. I'm the Inclusion and Diversity Manager here at AFCEA International. It's my pleasure to oversee our IDEA program, standing for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility, as well as our Women in AFCEA initiatives. I'm thrilled to welcome you to today's engaging discussion, Leveraging Inclusion and Diversity in Cybersecurity, presented by AFCEA IDEA. This session is designed to be an interactive dialogue, so at any point during the panel, if you have a question or a comment, please feel free to just speak your mind. I would really like this to be interactive. I want us to all continue this discussion. I don't want us to just be talking at you. I want to be talking with you. As our AFCEA community continues to expand, our dedication to inclusivity grows stronger. The AFCEA IDEA program is a reflection of our core values, committed to ensuring that every voice is heard and every perspective is respected. Our panel today represents a wealth of diverse experiences and insights, and your participation is vital to our shared mission. Thank you for joining us and supporting us in this crucial conversation. I would like to thank our sponsors, Sienna and Red River, for making today's panel and following reception possible. Please make sure at the end of today's session that you see people who will be standing in the back of the room for a drink ticket and a food ticket. You'll need both. Now I would like to invite Mr. Matt Conklin, Sales Director for Army and Defense Agencies at Red River, to come up and say a few words, as well as introduce today's moderator. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Again, my name is Matt Conklin, Sales Director at Red River. I'm really honored and appreciative to have the opportunity to introduce our moderator for today. We, as Allison said, at Red River, have a very firm belief and dedication towards this effort, and really are excited to be here today and support the team. And I have the distinct honor of introducing Dr. Hala Strohmeyer-Berry. I really appreciate everybody spending the time and taking the time out of your day to be here with us today. Dr. Strohmeyer-Berry is an assistant professor and director of cyber at the University of South Carolina-Aiken. Go Gamecocks. She holds a Doctor of Engineering, a Master's in Information Systems Technology, as well as numerous certifications. Her research focuses on AI, ML, and cybersecurity, supply chain cybersecurity, and cyber policies. Dr. Strohmeyer has received multiple awards and has served on the AFCEA International Board of Directors since 2014. I think we've already done some introductions, but Dr. Strohmeyer-Berry will be providing additional information on each one of them. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you all for the introduction and for sponsoring our event. It's very, very important to all of us, and I appreciate it very much. I'm going to sit it. Okay. Yeah. So we have a very exciting panel for us today, because I wanted to start in saying that when we talk about cybersecurity and inclusivity, it means different things to different people. So we have a wonderful panel here today that I'm going to have them introduce themselves first, and then we can go ahead and start our wonderful discussion today. So I will start with Sergeant Major Lisa Gandhi. If you please can say a few words about yourself.
I'm Sergeant Major Gandhi. I'm the Commandant at the NCO Academy here at Fort Eisenhower. I've been here for about 8 months. I'm actually the first female Commandant at the Academy. Prior to that, I was a Brigade Sergeant Major out at Joint Base Lewis McChord, Washington.
And we have with us also Mr. Kenneth McNeil. I will have you introduce yourself.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank AFCEA, Lieutenant General Lawrence, for the invite. I'm Ken McNeil. I am the Chief Information Officer and Director of J6 for the National Guard Bureau. So I am responsible for over 430,000 soldiers and airmen in the National Guard throughout 54 states and territories, to include the District of Columbia. So that's a lot of diversity, and we have a lot of diversity in cybersecurity. So again, thank you for the invite.
Well, thank you. And we have Sable Miller. She can introduce herself.
Yeah. Okay, so I am Sable Miller. I currently work at FORCECOM headquarters. FORCECOM's been around a long time, and I'm excited to be a part of the new generation that is leading the charge on cybersecurity and emerging technologies.
Very well. Well, thank you all for coming today and participate in our panel. And well, I was talking to them earlier today, and then I started talking about what is cybersecurity. And then it is a big definitions. And when you look at cybersecurity, you don't look at it as a local, but you look at it as global. It is cybersecurity is a global thing for everybody. Your adversary that they attack us today, they are not attacking us from our next door neighbor. They are all over the world. So, which means like every walk of life, every background, it can be involved in cybersecurity. And with that, I wanted to start the panel with the first questions about recruiting. And I know this is a very good topic for you, and you have it at heart. So I would like to start with Kenneth to tell us a little bit about how can you leverage inclusivity in recruiting for cybersecurity.
Well, thank you for that question. So, first of all, there's the talent pool. You have to be able to go to the talent pool, yes, right? So organizations don't become diverse by just recruiting in a certain area. In our case, in the National Guard Bureau, because we are in 54 states and territories, to include the District of Columbia, we're throughout this nation. And so we do a really good job at leveraging talent in all 54 states and territories and going to institutions that have a different, diverse population. You can't get to diversity in the cybersecurity mission space if you don't start early. And going to those universities and colleges that are diverse, using HBCUs, historically black institutions, we have to go across the boundary in this mission space. I was just on a CIO trip last week with industry in New York and Boston, and we met with many companies and had similar discussions. And one of the things that the practice that we use in the Guard and companies are starting to do, you have to go to the areas where there's diversity in this area, and you have to start early, right? And so that's helped us in the Guard, and of course, we have, I think, a little advantage because of how we're organized throughout this great nation.
And I would like you to carry the conversation and tell us that from your own experience and what you have seen so far, and how can we leverage inclusivity in cybersecurity.
Okay, so we look at things for our team building in the SWOT. We use the SWOT analysis a lot. That is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So when we look at our team before moving forward with a hiring panel, we first identify what is it that we need. We definitely like to look at our weaknesses as a team and opportunities of advancements. If we know that something's coming down the pipe that would require a expertise that we do not have, that's an opportunity for us to hire someone that does have it. So anytime that we're looking to bring someone to our team, we do a SWOT analysis of our team. We look at the opportunities that are coming down, and we try to fill that position. That gives that person a sense of purpose on day one. And it also fills in slot that we actually need. So that's what we do.
So being the only service member up here, we're part of the larger recruiting effort across the military, across the Army in particular. So falling in with that mission, but the Army, right, the DoD, we should be a reflection of society. And I think our recruiters do a good job of advertising, in particular cyber and signal. I'm a signal NCO. But the more that we have in cyber and signal, because we're also all recruiters, so every time I go out and I talk to young people about what I do, the more diverse we are within the field, the more diverse the people who are going to be interested in coming in. So I think over time, as the field gets more diverse, then our population that we can pull in, because you need to see that it's an opportunity for you. Just like, when you walk into an organization and you look at the command boards, you want to see people who look like you and know that those opportunities exist. So the more that we get out and show that the young people that this is a field that's open to everyone as long as you meet the credentials and the background requirements, I think we will continue to gradually grow more and more diverse across the signal and cyber.
Yeah, what I have found that the more you have a diverse and group of different background, different expertise, different experiences, especially in the cyberspace, we always come with a strong solution, and solution that will actually help us, because the fight we have right now as a nation in cybersecurity is not with the country next door. It could be anywhere. It goes from all over the globe, from Russia to China to Korea. You don't know where the threat or the attack is coming to you. So if you don't have team members in your team that understand the culture of those different countries, because the way we have seen it, we call it the signature of attack, right? So if you understand the culture and understand how they are going to do this attack, so maybe we can be ahead and we stay ahead of the game and basically try to stop the attack before even it happens, so at the source instead when it comes to us. So that's why I'm very active about the inclusivity, because of the different thinking it brings to the table. And I know, Ken, we were talking about that too, that you're really advocating also for the different thinking and the diverse thinking in really forming solutions. So would you like to elaborate a little?
Yeah, so, so great ideas are born when you have people that have diversity of thought, right?
Yeah.
So you want individuals that can bring to your organization in this highly skilled area different views of, from how you should do things and based on experience. Again, from our perspective, this is, and it has to be deliberate, right? Organizations, when you talk diversity in this area, it doesn't start necessarily at the top. Sometimes we say, well, the top leader has to do this. It's the bottom, up approach, right? So it starts at the lower level, right? And so we really work hard at, looking across the spectrum in the Guard at the talent and diversity. Now, we're fortunate because we're made up of a force that is mostly tradition, meaning that they work in this. We have, so many Guardsmen that work in this mission space every day as civilians in that environment that we can leverage. And so that's been very helpful for the National Guard at how we take that approach with diversity in this cybersecurity IT mission space.
Okay. I feel like diversity does start at the top because it starts with policy. I feel like inclusiveness starts next door. The person that's next to you every day, the person that you work with in the team groups, that's the person that's going to create the cultural acceptance, and they're the persons that are going to see the I hate that term, the diverse hire, but they will see that person that's in the room and actually include that person. So I feel like diversity means a policy is in place and you will hire that person, but inclusivity is the person that is next to you, the person that you're working with, and you're listening to their ideas and you're including them in the process.
I agree with both. I think, from the way we operate in the Army as teams, and the diversity of thought is it's important to what we do because we're all a reflection of how we were raised and all of our experiences over time, and all of that in turn develops how we approach problems and how we come up with solutions. And if we all have the same experiences and we come from the same background, you're not going to be able to think outside the box, so to speak, or you won't have that diversity of problem solving. So for us soldiers, there's huge value to having the diversity of backgrounds and male and female or wherever you were raised, because everyone brings that to the team, and that diversity of thought is really kind of powerful in how we approach things as an Army and in problem solving, especially at the very junior levels when the soldiers are trying to learn how to attack problems. That helps the diversity of thought and all of the different backgrounds. It really does help how we approach problem solving at the junior levels.
I just want to add one comment. So you have a very good comment when you mentioned the top. What I want to clarify is sometimes organizations, leaders need help, right? They may not know any better, right? So when I say the bottom, we still all have a responsibility in our organizations to promote diversity in this mission space, because we can't assume that you're going to go into an organization and the top leader is going to, either believe in diversity in this mission space or really understand what it means. And so I think both ways, but you make a good point. I think the easy button, if the senior leader really believes it and policy starts, but in some organizations that's just not happening. So you've got to kind of push that up.
Yeah. I agree. A policy is only as good as the people who are implementing the policy and the people who are enforcing the policy. So buy-in from the top, also buy-in from the bottom. I think that's how you kind of approach that.
And it comes also to the feeling of those employees and the contributors. If they feel like that their ideas is heard
Right.
and it's appreciated, it will only do good because it will always encourage them to even invent more, think outside the box, look at ways of solving problems that we never even thought about before, because now you encourage them, you empower them to basically speak their minds and basically come up with solutions that you really wouldn't have got if you just don't promote for the free thinking and the diversity of thinking. And you're right, it's the tone of the top, always been, and it will always be the tone of the top. I mean, if you see the head of the organization believe in inclusivity, you will see that drill down. If you see them the other way around, you will see that. And if you look at the companies that they are excel in and they keep growing and getting bigger, they have a promotion of a culture of inclusivity. Everybody's welcome, everybody, ideas are welcome. I understand some of the companies, they have competition by asking people, oh, we have this problem here that came from industry. You may want to give us some ideas, and you will be surprised how many people that they will put the good diverse team together, and they will come with solutions that most likely will win. Because if you are all alike with the same background in one group, you will have this solution that may work at that level. But when you have the different background and the different expertise and the different culture in one group, they will come up with something that not just will work for now, but it also will solve a bigger problem and maybe used elsewhere as well. So I have seen that success, and that makes me so excited about it. So that brings me down back to the tone of the top, which brings me also to the strategy. So what kind of strategies those companies will have or they will implement, not just companies, but organizations and at the National Guard, for example, that you think that we will need to have to promote more the diverse of thinking?
Yeah, well, it starts in an organization where as you define your shortages, like was said earlier, as far as what you need and what you're looking for, again, you have to go out and pull from those communities, in our case, because of how the Guard is structured, and institutions that have the skill sets. When we talk about today our this mission space being a shortage, right, across this great nation, you have to build that pipeline, right? And it's all about, really starting that early on. If you don't build a pipeline, well, you're not going to have diversity. You're not going to have college graduates and individuals with tech skills coming in because you didn't build a pipeline. So you have a small segment that may not be diverse. And so we're kind of focused on building the pipeline, working in the communities, working with universities. Again, we're in the communities across this country, so it's a little easier to kind of take that approach.
So we want it to be an interactive session, and we need to have some questions. So I understand we have a questions.
Thank you very much. I'm a colleague of Allison's. Thank you very much for setting this up. And having been a prior non-commissioned officer, we lead by example. So my question is to you, Sergeant Major.
Yes, ma'am.
As the first woman commandant of the Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, what challenges are you facing? And I'll leave the microphone up here for y'all.
Thank you.
Honestly, ma'am, I really, the challenges I'm facing really don't have to do with me being the first female commandant. It's managing the talent coming into the academy. We have, obviously, the signal soldiers, or signal NCOs, cyber NCOs, also have PAO NCOs. So diversity across what the formation looks like, but also diversity of assignments and their backgrounds, again, tying to, having that example in front of them and the different diversity of assignments. So really not a challenge that I would say I had earlier in my career. I feel very supported by my leadership and, coming in it was a point that was noted, but it's not, to me, I want to get to the point where we're not marking the firsts anymore, right? It's just, it is what it is. And earlier in our career, you know, I did have significant challenges. I was the only female first sergeant in a basic training brigade at Fort Sill. Nothing horrible, but you know, it was a different time and things that were going on with bringing female recruits to Fort Sill, and it was just a sense of nervousness that doesn't necessarily exist as much now. A lot of my male peers kind of walking on eggshells, not sure if what they should say is right. But I think we are much more comfortable now as an Army and as a force. We're not there yet by any means, but we're much closer to where I think we need to be.
Thank you.
Hey, good afternoon. I think this is a great topic, and this is more of a comment, but I would like for maybe you guys to amplify on the comment. I think you had asked, Haley, about how can you, you know, do this, or how can you ensure diversity or inclusion. And I will tell you, you know, having been a three-time commander in the Air Force and commanding a joint unit, I think you have to be deliberate in your execution or in your hiring. And by that I mean if you're in a position to make a difference and make selections, I'm going to go a little bit local on you. You can't be scared to do something. And by that I mean, you know, if you're getting, say you're getting packages for a nominative type assignment,
Yes.
I'm not saying that you know you have to have a quota, but if you don't have diverse packages in that, and that diverse is not just you know, gender and ethnicity, you know, it's experience. It can be services, it could be different types of jobs, but if you don't have that diversity in your the people that you are recruiting or considering, you're not going to end up with diversity in, you know, or as much diversity in your organization. And I also just say, you know, I think it's important to consider everybody's vantage point, you know, and respect the vantage point, and respect what that vantage point brings to you and your organization. I'm very passionate about that. I happen to have a boss that's sitting right to my right that is very passionate about that and very deliberate about that. And that's why we have a great organization, because we have that diversity of thought. But more of just a comment. I'm very passionate about this. Allison knows that I work with her a lot on this, and I just appreciate you guys being a part of this. But if you want to amplify, you know, on any of that, and just a shout out to CSM. We used to be in the same unit, and very proud of her.
Thank you, sir.
I do have a comment on what you're saying. So I would say if you would like to do a pulse check, while attending the UNSC Executive Development course, the instructor had something very funny to say. He said, how do you test if the water's still hot? You stick your toe in. So he implemented, and he, while he was at Google, a task called floaters, and he would take a person from a different section and he would float them to another section, and they would put their toe in the water. They would attend the meetings and see if they could, you know, just relate with them and bring some type of value and be accepted. And then they do it again another 90 days, and they report that back to a senior leader to see if it's still hot in that section. So I would say, put your toe in the water. The second thing I would say is be intentional about your hiring. Be very intentional about where you are and who you need and what you need in your organization or your business. Everyone wants to fill a spot. Everyone wants to take a job, but just have a real conversation like this is what we're looking for, and I know they're appreciated in the end.
So I just want to, you know, add a basic comment that I guess is obvious. first you have to be willing to talk about it, right? So many organizations look at it as, well, when we say diversity in the area, we're just gonna, hire quotas or whatever. You have to have that discussion and educate individuals. It's all about qualified individuals that have an opportunity that maybe they wouldn't have got their opportunity if you have a small, window or a small, community that you're trying to recruit from. And I say for me personally, as a leader, I was fortunate, to work for, individuals like Lieutenant General Lawrence and learn, that diversity and opportunity, it's about having qualified, individuals that they deserve to be there, right? But it is deliberate, but I find sometimes in organizations, you first got to start having a conversation. No one wants to have the conversation because they're uncomfortable because they think you're just trying to have a quota. And so I say that because a lot of individuals really think that. They may not openly, but you have to get past that and then have the discussion within an organization.
And we also start with education. Since I'm a professor at University of South Carolina, I can tell you that in computer science, which I teach, I was surprised to see the underrepresented number of women and that is studying computer science and cybersecurity. For example, I had last year 42 students in my capstone class that they graduating, only 5 were female. So I think the issue we have is bigger than just the workplace. I think we need to start promoting different kind of profession to female and all other, gender, background, whatever, to everybody. So we need to start maybe. I always say go back to middle school and start at middle school and start promoting. Hey, you can be an engineer, you can be a computer scientist, you can be a cyber warrior, right? So everybody can do that. So we need to get them to believe in themselves that they can approach this male-dominant, if you will, fields, and they will be really successful at it. So I think it takes a village, right? So it takes all of us to make sure that we basically help each other to promote for cyber for everyone, I would say. I like it, cyber for everyone. So a question?
Yes, Ken Flowers, National Guard Bureau. If you were king or queen for a day for your respective organizations or institutions, what immediate changes would you implement for immediate impact?
So I'm going to take a stab at that. First of all, I think this is a leadership discussion, right? So, just like any other organization at our headquarters, we have, 1 through 8 and special staff directors. So if when you come in, whether you're an SES or you're a general, it doesn't matter. I think this is something that you should be able to have discussions with your leadership about. Mm-hmm. Most times, individuals come in an organization, they're focused on what they're going to have to do to improve or, be successful. But diversity in a particular area is normally the last thing they think about. And unless you're exceptional leaders, like I've worked for in the past, that really, pays attention to having a diversity of thought workforce. So I look at it from that angle.
And you will see that the organization, that the leadership believe in the diversity and inclusion, they excel in their work and achieve way better things than others. So we encourage that. I understand we have some questions coming on the live stream.
Yes, ma'am. We do have a couple here in the back. The first question, are there any specific types of training or experiences that you use to grow diversity of thought in your organizations?
I'm going to comment on that. It is not a formal training, but what I have with my directors, we sit down and with offsites and we actually have this discussion. I wouldn't call it formal. It's not a class. It's not, but we have the discussion. As a result of that, I like to say, man, I work, with a great organization, but we're very proud to say that we're the most diverse organization in our headquarters. And I think a part of it is because we do that. And, you have to listen to how people, view things. You may view the diversity one way and someone else sees it a different story. But if you never have the discussion, if you don't talk to your leaders and get their views, you can't continue to have diversity of thought in this very short mission space as far as having talent.
You want to collaborate?
I spoke of the UNC Executive Development course, and it is all about being a leader that looks at diversity and how to implement it in your workplace. It is a mandatory course for FORSCOM headquarters. It is budgeted and you will go. And I think it's an amazing course. Additionally, I took the Creative Leadership Development course. And I would recommend, if you are looking to have that conversation with yourself and others, to please read Crucial Conversations. It is a great book. And yeah, those are my three.
Yeah, so I too was a graduate of the Center for Creative Leadership.
How to do it.
And it's a FORSCOM program I didn't even know existed. I had an opportunity to go when I was stationed out at Washington. And we talked a lot about diversity and how do you have those conversations with your organization. So I would say, and going back to your question about what would I do for a day, I'm in a unique position. As the commandant, I can kind of control my own organization. But one of the things I think is imperative for leaders is you have to create a space where your workforce, your formation is comfortable giving you feedback, and you have to be present, right? Especially in the military, you have to get out there. But you can ask the questions, and if your formation is not comfortable giving you the honest feedback, then they're just going to nod their head and say everything's okay. So you have to create a culture and a climate and a space where they know that you're going to action the feedback. You're not just going to take the feedback and say, oh, yeah, well, yeah, that sucks, right? But you're going to do something about it, and there's action behind the words. So for me, that's really where I've gotten a lot of movement at the Academy, was creating that and buy-in and really creating opportunities for the cadre across the Academy, no matter their MOS or background, to participate in working groups for little projects. They don't even know that this is part of the purpose behind it, to force them to kind of get those ideas together and have those conversations, sometimes without even me in the room, right? Because they need to have space to have those conversations amongst their peer groups too.
Mm-hmm. Very well. Yes.
Hi, Dustin with Vision IT. I'm going to hit you with a ChatGPT question. So,
Okay.
Not from ChatGPT, just like your response would come from. So, explain to me, like I'm a 5-year-old, what does diversity mean to you, each one of you, and then what does that diversity look like in each one of your organizations? How's your definition, that simplified definition, exemplified with a specific example from your organization?
I want to start off with that. So diversity for me is diversity of thought, right? So it's just not about gender and race and all of that, right? It's having a workforce that come from diverse backgrounds, that have diverse experiences. Yes, gender and race can be a part of that, but it's really about thought. No one wants an organization where everybody thinks the same way. The leader can be driving the organization off the cliff, and if everybody is thinking the same way, that organization is going to drive off the cliff. And so we deliberately, in my organization, we consider and we look at diversity of thought during our hiring process. And that's why I said earlier, It's not about, you know, when you bring up diversity, sometimes it's a bad word. People think quotas and all of that type of stuff. And no, this is about a diversity of thought. We live in a great nation here. And I'm fortunate. I get to travel around the 54 states and territories in the District of Columbia and see great soldiers and airmen, you know, every day serve this great nation, and that's pretty diverse. That's pretty diverse. And so I have this philosophy. I should look like the 54 states and territories in District of Columbia at the headquarters. That's how I should look, right? So, but it is a deliberate thing, and it is about, you know, having individuals, and especially in this, I keep saying this, the cybersecurity, we're short in this nation, right? We're pushing, you know, I just came off the industry trip last week, and, you know, organizations, industry is saying, hey, there's a shortage, you know, recruiting. So we have to have deliberate effort to bring young people in, but, you know, from diverse backgrounds. And it starts very early. I think you said, you know, middle school, where I even think it starts, or having young girls get interested in elementary school in math and science and STEM, and people are, you know, different backgrounds. It starts there. So that's kind of how I see it.
I can tell you that just drive I-95 and go up to the States. Up in New York, it's completely different culture than when you go down in Florida. So this is just a different culture right there. So there are different background, different culture. I think what we ought to do is start learning how to work with each other, how to respect each other, and how to respect each other's views and encourage that. It's not because I view this way, it is the right way. We need to be more open-minded and start thinking outside the box, because guess what? We are all United States of America, and we are in a fight that coming to us from the entire globe. So we need to make sure that we have the expertise in-house, we have the different background in-house that will basically help us with merit, with the experiences that will help us defeat that. So we need to stay ahead in the game, and the way we can stay ahead of the game is we need to learn how to work with each other in a diverse culture.
Good afternoon, Marina Alvarez. Recently retired Fed, started my company, Cybersecurity. How do we do that when this is the emptiest room with all the leaders that were supposed to be here ignoring it and not showing up? It's not important to them. So how do we do that, or how do you do it when, don't get me wrong, things have changed and since 1984 when I first went into the Marine Corps to now. But I'm a unicorn. I made it. But how do we promote that when the people who are at the top don't care and the society is pushing it to, you're just doing quotas and they really didn't earn it? How do we help change?
So it's not about quota. And
I know that.
yeah, and
The emptiness and the echo in this room shows different.
well, the good thing it is recorded, so maybe they will watch it later.
So I want to comment on that, right? So this is where I commend AFCEA and the leadership. You have to continue to have these forums, right? So you're absolutely right? This should have more individuals, leaders in the room. But I guarantee you that these forums are going to continue to happen, right? I like these forums because you have an opportunity to put the story out. I represent the National Guard, right? 54 states and territories. If AFCEA was doing this 5 days a week and they said, you know, Ken, we'd love you to be here, you're going to do it. That's how because it's education. Because tomorrow, someone could be in here that walks away and they learn something. And one individual learns something, it could be a snowball effect, right? I looked at it that way. You know, I got to come and listen to a panel, and now I got to go back and maybe change some things. So not to dominate this, but, you know, and I didn't say this earlier. So I am the first African-American SCS at the National Guard Bureau. So I feel fortunate that I was brought up right. And I don't want to, you know, put her on blast, but when you work for great leaders, it reflects, right? I got an opportunity to work for Lieutenant General Lawrence, right? You are a product of what you saw as leaders as you come up, and also being fortunate enough to serve this great nation in the United States Army and the Signal Regiment. So, but if you give up and you get frustrated, then you're never going to get there. So you have to continue to just push.
So, I'm Albie Johnson. I'm the chairman of the whole reason why we started the program was to support the commander's vision. And so in that process, what that means is that there are going to be challenging times. Mm-hmm. There are times, you know, our last event, we had a lot of folks in the room. Yeah. So what's happening now, as you're sitting here speaking, that's the same question I had. We talked about, do we need to change the room or do we change the location? We need to bring the location to the folks, because that's what we did in Baltimore, and they showed up. It was one of the first times that we've had it like that. We moved the location to the engagement theater on the floor, and it made a difference. And so part of it is you got to put it in the view of folks, so day-to-day people that are commuting back and forth will at least stop by and pay attention. And so we're working that. It's not perfect, but you know what? The mere fact that we're having the conversation is something that we haven't had in a while. And so this is important. This is important. So
why do we keep having it amongst ourselves and not the other people?
we try to bring everyone in, but we don't.
I don't think we are.
Right.
I do not think we're having a conversation among ourselves. If we were, you wouldn't be here.
Right.
I would like to thank everyone that showed up today, and everyone that showed up today now has a responsibility. It's just noise until it becomes knowledge. Each one of you have received knowledge today, so now it's our responsibility to go on and spread that knowledge.
The other piece of it is, you know, not only do we do these at the main AFCEA events, but we also do it at chapter events. Our next chapter event we're going to be doing it at is Alamo Ace. Alamo Ace is not something that would normally happen, but we actually put that program on for them so that we can take another piece. And I've got a note, they're asking for 3 things that we'd like to look at. And so we're looking at those programs that we're going to bring to each of these chapters. So we try to we make it a chapter event where we can identify and talk about diversity, you know, on their ground. And it makes a difference when they invite you, because the chapter has invited us. And that's not something that happened 2 to 3 years ago. So.
But it also makes a difference globally. Let me tell you something. I told some people in IEEE that I am doing this panel about inclusivity in cybersecurity. Guess what? They asked me to do a workshop about inclusivity in cybersecurity in their conference in December. So we are reaching out there. You may have a small number of people here, but the multiplier is there. We're doing this. This is just, I received the email yesterday. We would like you to do a workshop in the IEEE conference. So we are reaching out to different organizations now, to different outfits, and we are spreading our word out there. So like I said, it takes a village, and it takes all of us to believe in what we're doing, and you will see it works. Yeah. Like you're seeing here the first commandant ever, so that's a great thing. Yes.
Yeah, I would say, kind of reiterate what they're saying, is it takes time to change a culture, right? Climate is a little faster, but culture, if you want it to stick, it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of iterations, a lot of larger panels like this, a lot of smaller panels, smaller conversations. we have to continue to carry the water, and you can't let your frustrations and exhaust you from continuing to fight and continue to fight to change the culture. I understand your frustration, I do. But the progress is slow, but it is happening. I think we have opportunity to speed the progress up, though.
Yeah. We need to continue press on, and we need to continue the mission, because if you believe in it, you will actually basically project it. So, yes.
Hi, my name is Molly Pearson, and just to comment on that real quick, I'm talking today, I guess, really is, this is at the international level, and it's wonderful that Susan and Mike and Allison lead from the top in setting these up in LV. I am the IDEA Vice President of the Belvoir chapter, and I'll just say that the room it isn't always packed, but there's always more and more people that are coming, and they do talk about it after. So you all are making a difference by having these panels and setting these up. And I'll just say that after we hosted a panel in May or April of this year, I had so many people come up to me afterwards, but more so by LinkedIn or text, asking questions or asking for advice or where can I get a workshop. So it really does make a difference, and I wouldn't look at the quantity necessarily, but we just have to keep pushing and, having these. So I think that's just one thing to not get, don't get frustrated with. But Sergeant Major, my question to you is, so what would you say to the military folks in this room, knowing that IDEA is much more than gender and race and that? I mean, it now covers, as I learned in some IDEA training I took, stay-at-home moms or dads, which we have in the soldiers, single dads, single parents, people with that have autism or on the spectrum, a lot of different categories, which probably every single human being can relate to, aging parents, et cetera. But what kind of things would you tell the leaders in this room, in the uniform, what kind of wisdom would you embark on them to encourage these principles within their organizations?
You have to lead with empathy, right? You have to kind of put yourself in your soldier's shoes. We are in a different time and space than we were when I joined the Army 26 years ago. And we will not fix our recruiting effort if we continue to lead the way we have when I first came in. Just society has changed. Our younger population has changed and what they expect out of leaders. So I would say, one, be empathetic. You still have standards, and you still have to lead according to, Army regulations, but I think we're much better at the human aspect of it now. I had a great sergeant major when I was with Colonel Black at WACA, who, that was one of his things. He said, you got to talk to your people, keep them informed, be empathetic and be sympathetic to their needs. And that's really something that I've carried with me throughout my career. And I think that we do have a lot of different backgrounds in the military, right? And understanding and putting yourself as a leader, but also as a peer, kind of in that space where you're trying to understand where your peers are coming from. I had a leader in my previous organization who the soldiers didn't understand culturally where that individual came from, and I had to bring in the EO advisor as kind of a mediator because she came from Thailand, and her soldiers didn't understand that the way she communicated was just culturally, they thought she was screaming at them every time she spoke, and it was just culturally how she spoke. She was just very upfront to the point. She had a little bit louder voice, right? And it was just, but bringing the EO advisor in and having that round table and saying, this is not what you think it is. This is, to put yourself in her shoes, and now you understand also where your soldiers are coming from, but being able to bring that professional into the room and have that conversation really headed off, I have my previous brigade commander in here too, headed off a potentially bad situation in the brigade because people didn't want to have that conversation, right? And they didn't acknowledge, they weren't even aware of it. I was, because I've been around, different cultures, and I was raised by an Asian father too, so I understood. But if I didn't have that experience as a leader, maybe it would not have been recognized, right? And it could have been disastrous for that NCO. So being able to recognize situations and also bring action to the table, I think that's really powerful in an organization. But again, until we have diversity across leadership, right? Because you're not going to be, you have to lean on your peers. My peers, when I was a first sergeant at Fort Sill, would always come to me, and I welcomed it because they wanted to understand the perspective of their soldiers from whatever it was from, being raised by a Filipino father or being a female in the combat arms unit. They wanted to understand. They didn't want me to solve their problems. They wanted me to give the perspective. And I think you have to be patient also with when people bring those to you. A lot of times it's like, okay, what, you want me to solve your problem? No. You want me to help you understand, and it's perspective, right? I think that leaders have to take the time to share perspective and be okay to disagree sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Lieutenant General retired Dick Formica from Caliber Systems and a longtime battle buddy of General Lawrence. I wanted to make a couple of comments. I don't really have a question for the panel, but I do value the contributions that you've made to this discussion, and I thank you for your preparation and for the remarks that you've made. I too am a little bit sad that this room isn't more fuller, but I'm proud of AFCEA, one, for offering this panel, and it struck me and means a lot to me that it's here in the main room. It made the cut to be in the main room. And whether there's 10 people here or 150, I'm proud that this discussion is here in the main room.
I agree. Well, thank you. It's very impressive. I'm really, really happy and proud to be part of AFCEA for a long, long time. I'm a life member, and I believe in the mission. And when I asked to moderate this panel, I just jumped on it, and I was like, yes, yay, let's go. So towards the closing of the panel, I would like to leave it to the panelists. If you have a couple of comments you would like to leave us with, please share them.
So,
Anyone.
So again, I think these panels are very important, and AFCEA has done a tremendous job. This is the second panel I've sat on in AFCEA. I sat on one in Virginia. We have to continue to have the conversation, and the room, that doesn't discourage me, because when I see the sergeant major, I'm like, well, somebody is listening. When I worked for General Lawrence, I said somebody was listening when she was the G6 CIO. And so we have to continue to have them, but we all owe our organizations to go back and have these discussions, right? I mean, I have them a lot with my leadership at the National Guard Bureau. I think that it's because of our society and how we're made up in this great nation. We shouldn't be discouraged. We should just continue to push. And I encourage AFCEA to continue to have the panels and have different panelists on, in that diversity in thought. So I think this is a positive. I want to comment on the Fort Belvoir chapter, Ms. Pearson. I spoke there at the scholarship luncheon, and it was pretty diverse. And the scholarship winners, I was encouraged because it was very diverse. And I commend what you guys are doing over there. And so again, I just want to thank AFCEA for having an opportunity to invite and put the Guard story out there and talk about what we have to continue to do to support this great nation.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like for every leader, as you're building your teams and you walk into a team room, if everyone to your left and to your right looks like you, ask yourself why. And then see what you can do to fix that. I also like to challenge each one of you to say hello today to someone that does not look like you. Ask them what they do for a living. And I say that because I got this job because someone asked me, what do you do for a living? Someone that did not look like me, someone that I would not talk to, but someone that decided to talk to me. So I would challenge everyone to do that today. Working in ForceCom, I'm very grateful because no rooms look alike, actually. We have a very diverse workforce. I have challenged myself in my life to be a life learner, and I have challenged myself to not see race, to not see an issue, but to see a person and a problem and a person that could help me fix the problem. I do not want to be a part of a problem, but I do seek to be a part of the solution. So I don't only just look at issues. When I took the class, someone stood up and said, I'm on the best places to work committee. I said, we got a committee? The committee is the people that get the anonymous comment box for ForceCom headquarters. So of course I had to join the committee. And when people think their comments are anonymous, they are very open. So if there is an opportunity for us as leaders to receive that type of feedback, I would say take that as well, because then you can identify where the real problems lie. If you have a group of people that are willing to do the best places to work committee, I will tell you a lot of our resolve comes out of that committee. Our general buzzer sits on our chair and he reads the comments, and sometimes the comments make sense and sometimes it doesn't. But I will tell you, in that room, in that diverse room, with that one chair, we get a lot accomplished and we get a lot of unidentified issues that's making the water a little hot. We get a lot of that answered. So that's my comment. Say again?
Put your toe in.
Hey, remember it. Stick your toe in it. Is it still hot? You gotta add something to it. Thank you.
Very good.
I would just say you got to have those uncomfortable conversations, right? Don't shy away from them. And if you're not comfortable having those conversations by yourself, find somebody to be there with you. You don't have to have them one-on-one alone. There are programs, you know, in the active duty side, we have equal opportunity advisors. You also have the R2 Center, and you can find someone to mediate those conversations so it's not a one-on-one conversation. But then people have to leave your personal feelings, right? You have to understand, in order to get the conversation going and to have a productive conversation, you have to put your personal feelings kind of to the side and be willing and able to see life from somebody else's perspective. Right? And if you're not able to do that, then you will never be able to have any of those uncomfortable conversations. You have to step out of that space so you can understand where somebody outside of where your background has come from. So thank you for allowing me to sit on this panel. I really appreciate it. And I would just ask everyone here to go out and continue to carry the water.
Well, thank you. Thank you, panelists, for coming and having this exciting conversation. And it is just the beginning. So we're looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I had planned some comments, but now I'm going to change them due to the conversation. First of all, I do want to say that we all feel it, right? The emptiness of this room. And this program means the world to me. So the fact that you all are here is amazing, and we will continue this conversation in front of other people. And hopefully, as my mentor and chair of IDEA, Alvy always says we need to be comfortable having these uncomfortable conversations, and hopefully, the more that we talk about it, people do get more comfortable hearing about it and participating in this discussion. So I just want to thank you all so much for your time today. I know it smells really weird in here. I'm sorry. I would like to first thank Dr. Stromia-Berry so much for moderating today's panel, and to all of our panelists, Mr. McNeil, Sable, Command Sergeant Major. You were all Fabulous. I really appreciate your time. We have made a donation to the Schrader Graduate Diversity Scholarship, which is part of our Education Foundation, awarded to full-time women or minority students enrolled in at least their second semester or at least two semester equivalent courses currently pursuing a graduate degree, and that has been made on your behalf from AFCEA. I would like to thank again Sienna and their co-sponsor Red River. Thank you so much, Matt Conklin, for introducing this. And right now, we will be starting a reception for you guys, so please make sure you grab a drink ticket and a food ticket. That will be happening in the Riverwalk hallway. So go towards where the smaller sessions room are, Lamar and Estes, and I would love to see you there and keep having this conversation. And I thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
That's all right.